So, welcome all of you to the workshop on strictness. And as always, before we begin, try to look at this value, which doesn't really sound like a value, but is indeed a value directed towards the self. Ask oneself, am I strict enough and disciplined with my routine in life? Am I strict enough with that what I am supposed to do should happen that very moment itself? Or am I very complacent and have the habit of procrastination or postponing things? Also, looking at your life journey, am I strict with people, which I should not supposed to be? So there are many aspects of strictness which we can explore today. And we also have our beautiful speaker, Sister Shireen, who will be joining us shortly. She'll be silently observing us in the background. And let us begin. So we have our team of facilitators today. Again, as always, Sister Anu from the West Coast of Canada, Vancouver, and Sister Priyal from the center of India, Nagpur. So let's move. And yeah, a big thanks to all the interpreters, that is translators, and also the recorders. So let's move further. So you all know about all these. We are on 93, 7 more left. And this video is a little bit long, around 4 minutes. So I'll cut off in between if I feel the relevant stuff has already been displayed, and see what insights do you gain from this strict mother, which can sound a bit odd, but let's see what insights you have to share. Okay, that's the routine scene nowadays we have with kids at home. So, any insights in the chat box? We have 3 minutes exactly left. So, please go ahead and share. I'm not strict with y'all, don't worry. Y'all can feel free to share it. Yes, okay. Mothers will be mothers. Someone is just sending to me directly. Okay. So, while okay, so he's saying mothers should be strict. I think they should be strict. It's in the interest of the kid, right?
May I say something?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Sister Gul.
Good, Dani. Yes. There is a saying in Turkish language, sweet words make the snake, sweet words make the snake take out its hole. So that we have to be patient, and also we have to find the proper solution to the every problem. We don't make hesitate. We don't make. We don't make. How I have angry. We wait with a patient. At the end, the other side will be understand our feeling and maybe automatically will accept our how can I say our our situation and make it's good for us or for him also. Thank you. A little
Yes.
bit ununderstandable.
Yeah, so we get your point, no worries. So it is about, as we say, the saying is too much sweet can also lead to diabetes. In the sense, if you want to raise your kid with a lot of discipline and have him inculcate good habits, you need to be strict. Thank you. Jujer is saying both sides are strict. Okay, now which both sides? Maybe it is the child and the mother both. The child doesn't want to leave the technology, and the mother wants him to leave. Maybe that's what you're saying. And Brother Manuel, you can just translate this from Lara. Yeah. Yeah. So Ansu is saying, it has come as a direct message to me. The mother does not seem to have set boundaries of strictness in the first place and has bottled up all her feelings. Well, yeah, even we could think of that the mother is very stressed. And I think strictness from day one is important in this aspect, as far as disciplining a child for something good, right? There are many stories in India which I don't want to share myself, at how if you raise a child, if you see the mother constantly looking at the child who is happily cheating and stealing things and coming, and when he becomes old, he becomes a criminal. And then when he's convicted in a court of law, he's asked that, why did you do that? He said, my mother was not strict with me, and let the mother come to me. And he said, let me tell her something in her ears. And what he did was he just pricked the ears, or he just bit the ears, because he said, it's you who didn't be strict with me. So these are just moral stories which tell us many things. And last, I'll just take what Lara was saying, that we must seek understanding, tolerance, and flexibility, as rigidness alone doesn't work. And Rosemary is saying, over strictness isn't so beneficial. Allow some time for technology, yeah, and some for a sunshine activity, yeah, because he was just going out in the sunshine and also doing technology at the same time. And Anu sister is saying strictness to discipline needs not a lot of patience and love. All the mothers have started opening up now, and the time is up. Hang on, last I'll read. Mom is a mixture of between a cool mom and a strict mom. She switches it up on every day. Okay, good. So let's move on. I'm so sorry I've taken 1 more minute extra. Let's move on to the first exercise. Over to you, Sister Anu. Yeah.
Thank you, Brother Manoj. And interesting. I know all mothers or each of us have experienced strictness in life, particularly discipline as children, right, from parents, which we did not like necessarily, or we were ignorant. I don't know if we were that much ignorant, like we saw in the video, if we were glued to anything that we never wanted to um, hear or ignored our parents' discipline. But we now know as grown-ups that how important it is. So strictness in that sense is really important and beautiful. So in the first exercise, let's look through our childhood or adolescent age, how, like, when our parents were strict with us for something. So think of any one instance, any one thing, particular habit, or something for discipline your parents were strict for you. And as we'll reflect through that, let's check what were the benefits of that strictness. So we'll take a minute before we share. Please bring your sharing. I hope the screen was there. Um, so I'm sure we have remembered something for which strictness was felt, which was for our benefit, I'm sure, as we look back today. So, is there any sharing from anyone who would like to unmute and speak? You are welcome. Do that. In the chat, I see Michael. Brother Michael says, strictness gives some sense of what is right and what is wrong. That's right. So strictness as a value, we start to understand, I think, something we are too glued, I would use that word, then we don't understand this. But yeah, right way strictness is good. Self-discipline and disciplining somebody who we are responsible for. Any more sharings? Anyone who would like to share? You can unmute and speak. Or you can put in the chat. I hope you're seeing some of the strictness that you might not have liked maybe today, right now, with churning, it clicks that it was something good. So we are looking at the benefits of being strict.
Can I speak?
Yes, Priya.
Okay. So I remember my mother being very strict with me regarding food habits, eating right kind of food at right time and in right quantity. So that actually helped me learn good eating habits. So that is helping me now to because I have learned eating all sorts of vegetables not skipping on certain things and just eating one sort of thing. So that strictness has helped me build good nourishment in my
Yeah.
body, probably good habits. Another thing I feel is uh, sometimes strictness helps you to stay on the path.
Mhm.
Sometimes too much of freedom will help you just stray away from what actually you should be going in the direction. So sometimes that helps you to stay on the path and move in the direction which will lead you to somewhere rather than you just wandering off trying to find something. So that
I,
I think is
That's right. Beautiful. Yeah, it keeps us in the right path, which we feel at that time we are not being allowed to enjoy. We are being really put into trouble and forced to do things we don't like, but it's needed, right? As children, maybe we can't see it and understand. Thank you, Priyal. That was a beautiful, very practical sharing. Anyone else would like to share? Fatma, sister, you want to share something?
Um, Actually, I was just thinking that in the days when we were young, um, we weren't exposed to so much of technology, but the rules were there, and that I had to complete my homework. And the rules of the house was that you had to finish all your schoolwork and dealings with friends and all before supper time. And I had forgotten to get a book bag to complete my homework. And when I said to Dad, I'm going next door to go and get the book, and he said, "You know the rules. No, it's you can't break the rules." And so I had to leave my homework unfinished and had to fully aware that I'll be reprimanded the next day at school. But my dad was not interested. You follow the rules. It was such a simple thing, but it taught me that a great lesson that you have to follow the rules of the house. Yeah, very simple, but something very effective that I've always remembered.
That's amazing. Yeah, beautiful. That's true. The rules of the house, and that has a very long-term vision of the parents, right? That we may not like at that moment, but yeah, follow the rules of the house, and that keeps your life also beautiful, right? Throughout. Thank you for sharing that beautiful information message. Yeah, you're sharing. Anyone else would like to unmute and share? I see few chat messages. Sue says that we weren't allowed to go out to play after school until all homework was done. This instilled a lifelong to delay gratification. I hope you mean that gratification still there, like throughout the life, or that lesson, that what is prioritizing and what is important. First to finish that and then go to the next. So homework, that's kind of similar as Fatma's sister also shared. Until you don't finish your homework, also follow the rules. I think there is something in Portuguese, and when Manuel brother has translated, Lara says that my parents' strictness in some matters was very necessary as I learned what not to do, what is right and what is not right. We learned that. Neha says, what advice do you have for parents who are trying to be strict to guide but are unable to manage being strict without harshness? Harshness is something that doesn't feel good for the parent or child, and how can we find a balance here? I think that's a very good question that maybe Sister Shireen will definitely address, because yeah, only strictness with harshness won't work. From my experience, patience and love. I have to bring back again and again that patience, because the child is little. He doesn't have the mind or capacity to understand or know the benefit of what you're doing. And love. If you shift to harshness, it won't work. The energy has changed, and the child will resist. So patience and love, because you know the benefit of it. So anyone else would like to share?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So this is my personal experience. My mother was very strict with me with everything, about everything. And she had a reason for that. Because one of my very elder cousin sisters, she was very overly pampered by her parents. And when she got married, she couldn't handle the pressure and the challenges of a married life. And she went into depression, a very deep depression. And she chose to end her life because of that depression. Okay, so that was a shock. This is way back in the 80s, and this was something new in the family, in the entire town. So she was very strict with me with everything about eating habit, and she was very particular that I learned cooking, I learned everything, and along with the studies and everything. And but what she failed to understand was, like you discussed just now, there has to be a balance. So that balance was that, and she was strict with everything. So I became disciplined. I learned everything, but the disadvantage was that I stopped taking her seriously because she was strict all the time. So I think the balance is equally important along with the strictness.
I think balance of flexibility, that I think love quotient will bring that understanding to keep the balance, that you're not breaking the child too much out of that, where he can be happy, he or she. Thank you so much, Rena. Lata from Vancouver says regular study for fixed 2 hours after school. Self-study was the discipline. I'm sure that helped her throughout the strictness. Nisha says, I was trained from childhood to get up at Amrit Vela and blessed to had them. It has become my habit. I'm blessed. Yeah, habit of waking up in the morning and remembering, or prayer, or remembering God. Yeah, thank you, Nisha. Yes, time is running very fast. I think Deepak Bhai is there noting down our sharings. If we can see it on the screen, brother. And when Deepak Bhai is sharing the screen, I would like to also share. I remember my dad would have a stick in the morning, come with me to the garden, and he would ask questions, mathematics or whatever, and I would be scared actually. So that was the disadvantage, I would say. But strictness was that you must, value studying, education. But yeah, that has helped me tremendously, I would say, today. So the strictness gives sense of what is right and what is wrong. Yeah. Eating habit, right eating habit, so that you're healthy throughout life. Strictness keeps us in the right path. So parents' strictness was necessary. Again, same thing, not what not to do. It teaches us that. Until we are not finished with homework, we are not allowed to go out. Following the rules of the house, rules of life, choosing patience and love over harshness, and keeping the balance, flexibility, understanding. And even one sister shared, she's blessed really to have the habit of waking up in the morning with praying or connecting with God. And also that too much strictness without the love or bringing understanding to the child can be not so good, as Rena shared. So thank you everyone. So I'll hand it over to Brother Manoj now. Thank you for the
Okay,
next.
thank you so much for your sharings, and therefore we don't say harshness as a value, getting fearful as a value. Strictness is a value, but not harshness or fear, as you all have shared wonderfully. So let's move on to this meditation aspect, not on meditation, not on strictness, but as it's mentioned, being lawful yet loveful, as we have been constantly discussing about that, how we need to be patient and loveful with the kids as well. So let's begin. Take a few moments and look at yourself, this beautiful energy that you are. A conscient energy of light. speak of the word strictness, let us look at it from the perspective of discipline and strength. Let us look at how the sun rises at the same time and sets, follows the strict discipline, day following night. Similarly, when I look at myself, the soul energy, let me inculcate this value in the form of regularity in my life, in my disciplines, in my behaviors and actions. Let me have a sort of consistency and be persistent with the self. Because I know if I become loose, I tend to lose in life. And it comes naturally because the soul is naturally disciplined. It knows what time I have to leave this body and enter another body. For developing this regularity and persistence, let's take the second step. Connect to the ocean, who is not the ocean of lawfulness at all, it is the ocean of love and unlimited love. The more and more I connect that lovefulness emerging from the Supreme Being, life becomes easy. And then becoming strict with the self also doesn't seem harsh. So it becomes a natural nature of the self. With this loving, tender care from the Supreme Being, let's move further to the action planning mode and how we can enhance, what strategies can we use to enhance the strictness with the self. Thank you, all of you. I'll stop sharing and I invite Sister Priyal now to take us into the action planning mode. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Manoj, for taking us through such intense meditative experience. With this, now we'll move on to the action planning. As we all know, action planning gives us an opportunity to actually formulate ways in which we can inculcate those values into our lives. So I'll share my screen.
Sorry, Sister Anu, it's not Shaheen. Maybe it's, yeah, thanks.
No.
Okay, shall I continue?
Yeah, sorry, please go ahead.
Okay. So think of ways. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. Think of ways in which, what are ways, strategies which you can adopt to enhance strictness with the self. Take a few moments and think in what are the ways in which you can be strict but not harsh, with the balance of love and law. Okay, a moment more. Okay. So is there anybody who would like to share? How can we inculcate strictness into our life? What can we do? What strategies can we adopt? It is a tricky question. So one needs to focus on this question even furthermore. Any ideas regarding it? Is there anybody who would like to share? You can unmute yourself. Yes, Sister Rehna.
Yeah, so what works for me is not strictness or not love and law and all those things, because I'm more of a logical person than an emotional person. So what works for me is the benefits. Okay. So, and not just the materialistic or the worldly benefits, the spiritual benefits also. When I know the benefits, okay, if you do this, these are the benefits you're going to get. That motivates me, better than being strict with myself or somebody being strict with me. That's what works for me.
Yeah, wonderful. That is actually a very practical approach towards it. If you know the benefits, then you'll probably be strict with yourself. This is what you have to do so that you get this.
Yeah, so I research
Amazing.
the benefits. Yeah, I conduct a research on the benefits. If I find good, okay, I'll go for it, no matter what. Otherwise, I'll be slack.
Wonderful. Anybody else who would like to share?
Yeah, Shanti.
Yeah, Om Shanti, please go ahead.
Yeah, without strictness, my whole habit can emerge and express. So strictness will be a way to stop it and to create the new good habits. But without strictness, my whole habit can always express. So that's the importance maybe for me of strictness.
Yeah, thank you. And how can we actually, is it like paying attention to it all the time and making sure that the old is not coming back again?
Yeah, you recognize the old habit and the deficit of it. You recognize the new habit and the benefit of it. And so I think that's the way to transform something, a bad habit. When you make a list of whatever the badness of it, and for the good new habit, whatever the good things of it, and then you go for it, because you cannot stop something if you don't substitute by something else which makes you motivating. And obviously, as the sister said before, if you are motivated for it, yeah, then you get benefit from it, you will go for it.
Yeah.
For example,
Thank
I have a very simple personal example from childhood. I never smoked so much in my life, but when I was 18, 19, I started to smoke 1 pack a day of cigarette, but I was very sportsman. And then I feel that I was becoming breathless. So I went to the swimming pool. Before I can swim 3 kilometers in 1 hour without stopping. And then I went to the swimming pool. I started to swim 50 meters and I was breathless. Or I said, oh my God, I have to stop my cigarette. And gradually, as I increase, my swimming better and better, and up to the point I was not able to swim 3 kilometers in 1 hour, I was reducing my cigarette. And one day, in the morning, you have the cigarette of the morning. So I say, what I'm doing with this cigarette? And I say, well, if I don't stop it now, it will keep on forever. So I get it up, I stop it, and then I'm free of it since that time.
Wonderful. That is so inspiring. And it's such a practical way of dealing with habits. Like when you acknowledge, okay, this is the bad thing, and then you note all the harmful effects that it is having in your life, and then you just replace it instead of just suppressing those things, and replace it with a good one which is going to have benefits in your life. Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else who would like to share? We're getting practical tips today for how to inculcate good habits into ourselves. Anybody?
Good morning, Om Shanti.
Good morning. Please.
I would say, like for me, I think I can be strict by forming the small achievable goals which are reasonable, and then keeping a self-check journal every day, and then see if whether I was successful in that or not, and like doing it for initial 21 days. Yeah, thank you.
Oh, wonderful. So that this the notion that if you do something for 21 days, it becomes a habit. So if we are actually continuously doing it for 21 days and keeping a journal which tells you actually how you're doing it every single day or not, it's actually a very effective way of telling yourself whether you're up with it or you're not. Wonderful. Thank you. So anybody else would like to share? So these sharings from each other, it helps us so immensely to inculcate those things into our lives. Anybody? Okay, till the time I'll read a few sharings from the chat box. So Sue says, perform any action you have been putting off and then do something nice for yourself afterwards. Amazing. So when you reward yourself for doing right things, it motivates you to keep on doing good things. Brilliant. Lara says, being aware of what to do, respecting your limits, forgiving yourself for not being perfect, and always doing the best you can. So that's how you keep a track of yourself and how you would want to achieve certain things. Amazing. So we still have 5 minutes. So if anybody wants to unmute themselves and share, that will be so helpful for every one of us over here. Anybody? Okay. If anybody would like to share? Okay. So then we'll have the Deepak Bhai, if you can show all the sharings from everybody, and then we can move ahead. Okay. So in the summary, what we have discussed is if we know the benefits of changing one of the habits or doing something, then we bring self-discipline to ourselves. So, and when you perform any action that you have been putting off, and keep on rewarding yourself for doing good things, so that you keep yourself motivated for performing right actions. Strictness with self brings good habits. So, and you replace the bad habits with the right ones. And if you see, acknowledging what is good, what is bad, and then deciding what you have to go along with and what you have to leave, so that you have a reason for starting something and also a reason to leave something. And instead of just suppressing certain things, when we just replace one thing with the another, then it becomes an easy way to achieve certain things. Being aware of what you should be doing, respecting the limits, forgiving yourself for not being perfect, as we have seen, that can help us grow. And also keeping the goals which are reasonable and achievable, and keeping a check or a journal for ourselves, and keeping a track and noting it down every single day for at least 21 days, so that it becomes a habit. So these are the few sharings that we have. So wonderful and practically helpful sharings from everybody. Thank you. So now I'll give it on to Dr. Manoj to take us into further exercise. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much. And I'm actually quite thankful because I wanted some more time today to share, because it's been a lot of slides which I want to share today. And we were so fortunate. We had Brijmohan Bhai Sahab, and it was by fluke, because it was initially Asha Didi who was supposed to cover, but then in the divine drama plan, she had to take a flight at that point of time, and therefore she couldn't attend. And she requested Brijmohan Bhai Sahab, who's always ever ready on service. And it was really a big fortune. And also, we wanted to invite him for one of our past episodes, but again, if he's there, he's always there. But if he's traveling, he was traveling abroad, so we couldn't get him that time. So here, I must say the divine plan got him with us. So Bhai Sahab always wants it to do is as a conversation mode, so I had to ask him many questions on that. So let's see what he had to say. And he was very humorous. Before we started, in the background, he was having a nice humorous chat with all of us, all the translators and facilitators. And he was humorous that he said, are you strict with me or something like that? I don't remember what he exactly said, but his humor started from there. So I think the first question obviously was, is it really a valid thing to cover this talk? Because strictness is not a value. But then he said, no, since you all have said it, so we have to do it. And then he went on to say that, which I've mentioned, I've tried to simplify uh, the slides. And as I said, I always don't read each and every line. So I've just highlighted the points which I'll be covering. So he said regularity, order, and punctuality. In one way, these very closely relate to the word strictness, and they should be strictly observed. And here he went on to mention that all the spiritual laws in the nature, and even the law of karma, all these strictly apply. Like if I do something bad, I'll definitely reap a bad fruit. So that is strict. I can't do something bad and get good in return. So that's what he elaborated on that. And he said that one also can't be strict with the self 24/7. So we need to deeply understand on what level is this being said. So if I really want to attain perfection, I need to be strict with myself. And he went on to mention that the deities are the perfect beings because they are what we call 16 celestial degrees perfect. We'll cover that later. What is this 16 celestial degrees? The next question was about tell us a few spiritual laws. So he said to understand the spiritual laws, you need to be in a very spiritual stage yourself, which means a deeply soul conscious state. And if I can really understand this spiritual law, the first and the foremost and most important being who truly I am. If I can understand this, then I know what is my part in the drama of this divine life, what is happening or what I'm going through, and where and how does my part begin in the life cycle and where does it end. So then I'll be able to really understand even the karmic philosophy, which many times people are not able to digest because obviously if something bad happens to you and if someone tells you, oh, it's your karma, therefore you're having this, it's not right to do that at that point of time because the soul is not empowered to grasp the gravity of that law that time. And the soul is really in pain and suffering. So we need to understand that if I am able to situate myself in the consciousness of the soul at that point of time when something negative has happened, then I am self-empowered. And in that empowerment, then I'm able to digest the fact that yes, this something negative has happened to me. It's in return of something from the past which I have done. At Brahma Kumaris, we have this beautiful balance of all the seniors in the organization. I'm sure Sister Shireen also has many stories to share about this. That how do you strike the balance between being loving yet lawful? So Brijman Bhai Sahib went on to share that Dadi Prakashmani used to always say she was our administrative head for a long, long time, starting right from 1970 onwards to around 2007, a big 37 years. So she used to say that actually there is no need to be lawful, just have love for everyone. And also apply law to the self, but love to the others. And here, if you remember in the spiritual teachings of Brahma Kumaris, I think many of the workshop participants now are aware of what we speak here from the Murlis, what we call Murlis. They are the spiritual class which we have at Brahma Kumaris, where the divine, the supreme being speaks to us directly. And he says that be lawful for the self, which means be your own judge and pass judgment for the self. But be the wakil or be the advocate for others. And even if they have done something untoward, it's okay. Pardon them. look at their virtues and qualities and not look at their shortcomings. So I think that's what is all about being loveful and lawful. As we mentioned about 16 celestial degrees, so the question was asked that, are there any such 16 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on? So he said, no, it's basically symbolizes a sign of perfection. So if you look at the stages of the moon, which starts from no moon or new moon to the full moon, same way, he said that the soul also has a particular voltage, and the voltage of light is full voltage in the golden age when we are there. It's like perfect soul conscious state. All the virtues and powers, we become an embodiment of that fully. And as time goes by, we move from the golden to silver age. We haven't done anything wrong, but it is just that the world has started becoming a little bit old. The purity is still the same, no doubt, but what has happened is a little bit degradation in the form of degrees has started, whereby since you have taken almost, we say, 8 births, we take the body, leave the body, we, the soul, take and leave, take and leave. So in this process, there is a little bit of degradation, and from 16 degrees, you go on to 14 degrees. And therefore, the sheen or the shine of the soul, which could be, say, golden, has become to silver. So it is not that you have become impure, but slightly the voltage has become less because it has been used and used for, say, around 8 births, 12, 50 years roughly, the 1/4 of the cycle. Yes, when it comes to Brahma Kumaris, we have a lot of disciplines in Brahma Kumaris, and also there are strict disciplines to be followed. And sometimes people get wary of these and they say, oh, it's okay, we can't follow, let's leave it. So Bhai Sahib explained it very well that when a doctor prescribes something, he not only gives you prescription of medicine and diet, but also says precautions, because prevention or precaution is better than cure. So if I'm on a path towards self-transformation and perfection, then I need to follow some disciplines very strictly. Because if I don't follow them, I may have to face more difficulties. So that's what he said. And again, each to his own. See what you're able to follow and keep doing that, keep doing that. But don't leave the path, because if I leave, it hurts no one except me. I mean, I have been on this beautiful journey, but something happens and I'm saying I'm not going to do it. It is hurting me, no one else. So let me do as much as I can and follow the path as a discipline. He went on to give a beautiful example of driving on the road in a car. So we are always alert and attentive while driving. We are not complacent. Oh, that's okay. We should not be looking at the rear mirrors or should not be driving in the lanes. We can just change lanes as and when. So we have to be strict with that so that it's a form of protection for us. That's what he say in Hindi, safety ka sadhan. It's a way, in one way, to keep yourself safe so that the Maya, what we call the weaknesses, don't empower us. Then coming to some practical questions, that how does one deal with a bossy personality at work? And that typically happens at workplace. So he went on to say that it is not the boss's fault. Let's not the fault, but let's shift our focus towards the self. It is who is meditating. I am meditating. He is not meditating. I am meditating. I am empowering myself. So when I am so strong, I can see that whatever problem is there in front of me, it is just because of a weak mind. And actually, there's a proverb that problems are nothing but basically a weak mind looking at them. They are nothing actually. And if I am more solution oriented, then I can see something bigger in that. So let us be more of solution oriented rather than problem oriented. And again, in the Murli's spiritual classes, we hear this, that be Samadhan Swarup, which means an embodiment of solutions rather than Samasya Swarup, which is an embodiment of problems. Let's not look at problems. Let's be solution seekers. Yes, another word which comes very often with discipline and strictness is determination. Determination is a virtue, and in opposition to that is stubbornness. So how do we relate to both these, and what are the differences? The most important difference is stubbornness stems from ego, and also it leads to more and more ego. It's a self-feeding virtuous cycle. The more and more someone is stubborn, they become more egoistic, and vice versa. Whilst determination is something like zeal and enthusiasm to achieve my goal. That's not stubbornness. So stubbornness is something negative, and determination is something highly positive. So the opposite of stubbornness would be flexibility. That's what he mentioned. And he mentioned something like, don't be influenced even by the good in others. So many people say, oh, we should be appreciating people, their virtues, their qualities, and also we can be inspired from them. But more important here is, hang on, it's not inspired, it's being influenced. So that's what he said that this is a very subtle thing. Bhai Sahib said that if I'm getting influenced by a person's good qualities, that person remains in my conscious mind forever. And then I just keep looking at him, and I stop looking at God. And when I say God, it means the supreme being who is the source of all the virtues. That person who's got good qualities has it because of the supreme being's grace, and he's showering on that. So rather than looking at that instrument, let me look at the source. Let me look at God, and then I can automatically inculcate those in me as well. Again, one beautiful thing which Bhai Sahib is always asked is about how to strengthen or how to empower ourselves, and how to make sure that early morning meditation, Amrit Vela, becomes a routine. Can we be strict with that? So he just directly has beautiful examples and analogies to give. He said that God has deliberately kept this time early morning because that's the most rewarding time. And God knows that it is the difficult thing for many of us to get up at that point of time. But if we know the benefits of that point of time, what attainments do I get? What powers do I get? What values do I get while meditating at that point of time? I will automatically get up. And then he also tells us that, particularly in the bitter cold times, when you are so much into your bed and your blanket and all your rugs on top of that, you don't want to get up. So he says that at that point of time, imagine that there is a snake beneath your bed, and then you will just pop up from your bed in a second. So because it's our weaknesses, our laziness, our carelessness, which makes us glued to the bed. Next question was, how does one overcome pain associated with the past? Because the soul was asking this question in relation to, while meditating, I can't develop concentration because the past comes up very often. So he said that most important is those 3 dots, which are taught here at Brahma Kumaris. In the early morning meditation, don't keep churning, don't keep contemplating. Apply a full stop. Try to practice the full stop stage, that I am a dot. Remember the dot, that is the point of light, supreme being. And remember that this drama of life, let me put a full stop to that and empower myself with the remembrance, being in that what we call seed stage or volcanic stage of remembrance. And that in turn helps to fully absolve or make my old habits and patterns disappear. That's the way to develop concentration. And he also said that be in the present, let bygones be bygones. Focus on the present, be mindful and watchful of your thoughts, and move on. And this way concentration can develop. I have a few more minutes. I think that's the last slide. Yeah. we had the International Yoga Day on 21st of June, celebrated, and this was the 10th year. Ramesh Bhai, who was the senior from our organization, in 2014, he put up this and it was accepted by the then government. And since then, it has been going on in not only in India, but it is celebrated worldwide. So he said, actually, it's not yoga, it's yog. Yog means connection, and this connection is of the self, the soul with the supreme soul. I'm sure Sister Shireen would tell us more in detail about that. And I'll stop here because time is up. And he shared a beautiful experience with Mama. We'll be sending you these slides. Mama was, again, 24th June was the day, Memorial Day of our very dear Mama, lovingly called Mama. She was the first administrative head of the organization. I told you Dadi Prakash Mani was from 69 onwards. She was the one before 65. She left the body in 65 on 24th June. And Bridman Bhai shared these, that how she was an embodiment of all the maryadas, all the disciplines which are followed at BKs. Okay, so I'll just stop sharing the screen, and we have with us Sister Shireen, and thank you so much. And before I pass it on to you, give me one more moment to introduce you. You are not new for us here, but you have been with us. And Sister Shireen is always very humble. She sends only few lines. I have to read those few lines so that you know about her. She's engaged in the spiritual practice of BKs for almost 30 years now. And she's written that as 20,000 hours of meditation experience. She's an author of 4 unique books on meditation. And to name them, Soul Fitness, Oh My Goodness, True Hollywood Blockbuster, and Experience the Divine. Rather than experience, it's experience. And she's also authored 3 popular meditation albums and a deck of spiritual power cards. And I still remember her show something, it was about preparing a lot of cuisines in the remembrance of God. I forget the show name of that show. You can tell us later that. And she has designed and facilitated meditation retreats and workshops to enable the souls to easily embrace the spiritual wisdom which she presents in her books. And she's also, yeah, that was the program, Release Your Wings. I should read it up fully. That was the program, Release Your Wings. It was the YouTube. I'm sure it is still there on YouTube. I would recommend you all to please visit it because she's created it and presented many different ways of how to cook food and different cuisines in the remembrance of divine. And as always, before I give it one more minute, it is about the poem which I do for all of the speakers. So today, Sister Shireen shall share her wisdom on being lawful and tell us how to strike this balance with being loveful, so that living life indeed becomes happy and joyful, with no feelings of remorse and being resentful. Her talks on spirituality indeed are so soulful, which decorate the soul and make it indeed so beautiful. Every experience in life then makes us feel blissful and reminds the soul of its original state, which is indeed peaceful. And finally, let's try to practice Raj Yoga and about the self be knowledgeful so that we could take decisions in life which are indeed powerful. So with this, all yours. Over to you. Thank you.
Om Shanti, everyone. It was lovely. Thank you so much. That poem was very sweet, very sweet. I prefer Bridgmont by style. You should ask me questions and I'll answer. Because this is a very difficult topic. And I like what Bridgmont Bai was saying, that strictness is not a virtue. It could be a virtue, but it's not a divine virtue. Divine virtue would be discipline, maybe. And first, let me address some of the questions that were asked. The first question that was asked was about how do you be strict with children and not be harsh? I feel that How many of you, actually, before I go any further, how many of you are not with the Brahma Kumaris, don't listen to the Murlis? Is there anyone here who don't listen to the Murlis?
I
All
think
right.
they usually don't open their videos, but majority are actually not regular, listeners to Murli. No.
Okay. Oh, I just wanted them to raise their hand, but it's okay. So majority of them don't listen.
I think a big amount listen. So yeah, maybe balanced 50-50.
50,
Half
okay.
and half.
The thing I was thinking about was, especially in relation to children, right? Is when in the Brahma Kumaris, we have disciplines, like many people were talking about the disciplines, right? Even Brijmon Bhai was talking about the disciplines, about getting up in the morning, we eat eating a particular kind of food, who it's cooked by, all of these things. So we have very, you could say, strict disciplines. But I feel we receive even more love so that we can follow the disciplines. So first comes the love and then the disciplines, right? And so I feel we have to do the same with children. If we don't give them love first and just give them strictness, then they will not be able to follow, because they need strength. They are children. You have to think of them as children. They want to be children. They want to play. They want to do all of those things. And so think of them as children, and we have to give love, just like we receive love before we are asked to do something. We receive a lot of love. And I feel love, right, is the foundation of everything, I remember recently someone coming to the center, and they were having a very hard time with their marriage. And it was a young girl. She had two very young kids, and one was less than a year old, and one was a little older than that. And the husband wanted out of the marriage, and she came in with her mother. And as soon as they came in, right, the mother, just on seeing me, she started crying. And before they could even tell me what was happening, right, they just started crying, and they were crying, and they were crying. And so, first, sit them down, calm them down, give them a lot of love. Because if you tell them at that point, right, oh, the husband wants out of the marriage, why are you hanging on? Just let it go, blah, blah, blah. Or, why are you doing all of this? They're not going to hear it, right? And I felt at that moment they needed a lot of peace. But even before I could give them peace, I had to give them love. There's no way that they would have taken the peace without the love. So first we have to give love. Love is the foundation for everything, right? Whatever we are doing, we first give love. We feel those good wishes, those pure feelings, those loveful feelings for the soul. And then if you have to say something, say something. In the case of parents, with children who are young, you do have to say something. But grown-up children, no, you don't have to say something, because many times we take on authority for other people more than we should. If they're grown children, right, we don't have really. They're their own people. They have their own karmas. They're doing their own thing. You have to let them be. And I really remember this very, very well, because in one of our lessons, right, the Supreme Soul, through our medium, this one was, I think, Avyak Murli Dadi Gulzar, Padada through Dadi Gulzar. So what was being said was, it was very recent, that our near vision, right? Our near vision is not very good, but our far vision is very good. What that means is, I'm not very good at seeing myself, but I'm very good at checking out someone else, right? So especially in the case of discipline, especially in the case of strictness, I'm very good at correcting someone, telling how they should behave, what they should do, what discipline they should have, all of those things. But when it comes to myself, I'm not that good at, right? Especially when we become parents. So before we tell our children anything, we first need to parent ourselves. Because what happens once you become a parent, it's almost like you put all your, you leave aside all of your, dreams for life, and then you put everything into the child, thinking this child should do this, whatever you didn't do, they should do it, whatever you couldn't do, they should do it. But first parent yourself, right? See how much can you do, like pick a discipline that you should do. And it could be something simple as meditate in the morning. I will get up every day at 4 a.m. and meditate for half an hour, right? And if I'm able to do that, then I will give instructions to my children. If I'm not able to do something hard, right, or something a little more out of my comfort zone, how am I expecting my children to do it? And so we have to first parent ourselves first before we parent anyone else. And that is actually, this is only for people with children, right? Who are under 18, you could say. Anyone older, or let's say older than 21, 22, they are out of the house, they are on their own, then don't do it. Just don't do it. Let them be. You have to trust your upbringing, that you brought them up properly, and you have to let them go. And I remember in the beginning of this session, all of you were talking about how strict your parents were growing up. It must be an Indian thing, right? Because I remember my parents being very strict about everything. Of course, I didn't appreciate it at that time, and I do appreciate it now. But I was thinking, if that strictness didn't come with love, where would I be? Right? See, all of us, right? We are, you could say, we have a life together. We are upstanding members of society. We are able to improve ourselves, progress, do all of those things. But there are many, many people who are not able to do that. There are many people who are not able to do that. And maybe their parents were strict with them too, right? We don't know, right? We can't tell. Let's do a statistical analysis on how many kids are not able to cope with life. Their parents were strict, but they took it the wrong way. And why did they take it the wrong way? It's very hard to tell, right? It's very hard to tell because we can only say, oh, my parents were strict with me and I turned out fine. And so let me think that strictness is the only way to go, right? I always feel that the dadis, I love this, the thing that was shared about Dadi Kumarka, the administrative head for 37 years that Manoj Bhai was talking about. One of the things they taught me is don't go to extremes. Don't go to this extreme, don't go to this extreme. So there is a modern contemporary parenting style. And this modern contemporary parenting style is the child is your friend. How would you like it if you don't? If the child throws a tantrum, give them the iPad. So it's called punishing by rewards, right? Throw a tantrum, give iPad. And there's this extreme of be very strict, they can't do anything, they shouldn't do anything, right? Extremes. Don't go to either extreme. We have to learn to follow the mid path. And the mid path here is be strict with yourself first. and then talk about it, and then give a lot of love and then talk about things. Give a lot of love and talk about things. And because we don't want to go to this extreme or this extreme. I remember Dadi Kumarkam, it must have been in 1995. I went to our spiritual headquarters. We call it Madhuban. Maybe it was even 94. It was very small, right? At that point, it was only this one campus called Pandav Bhavan, where it's on top of the mountain. And all of the dadis used to be listening to the Murli. And so it was morning Murli. And in the class, right, there were all the Dadi Chandramani, Dadi Manohar, all of these dadis were there. And Dadi Kumarka, Prakashmani Dadi, she was reading the Murli that day. And she came into the class and she asked, the first thing she asked after the meditation song was over, the first thing she asked was, who here did not take a shower this morning? And I was surprised by a few people raised their hand. I was like, yay, good for you, good for your honesty, right? That's what I was thinking. Good for you, good for your honesty. So a few people raised their hand. And Dadi very lovingly, because Dadi was very loving, her love was on a very different level. Dadi very lovingly said, go take a shower and come back. So they all left, went and took a shower. I mean, the Murli didn't wait or anything for them, but they were asked to leave and go take a shower. So Dadi was, in a way, a little strict. I've seen her, be very firm. Let's call it discipline. She had discipline. She was very loving. Her love was out of this world, right? Out of this world love. I mean, next to the Supreme Soul, right? Next to Bab Dada, her love was like so amazing. But she also had discipline. And so I remember that very well. And the other thing I wanted to double click on was Brijmon Bai's comment about people's being impressed by people's discipline or virtue or something like that, right? I don't know what the question was, but being impressed by discipline and virtue and things like that. And Brijmon Bai said, it's not only impressed, but you also get influenced. And so how important it is to be neutral. Nowadays, that is my effort, to be completely neutral. Even when you are not able to follow disciplines, right? Don't say, oh, bad. You didn't get up for Amrit Vela today. You fell asleep at Amrit Vela today. Or you fell asleep in your morning meditation today. Bad, this. No. Those days are over. You have to look at your lack of discipline, other people's lack of discipline, your discipline, other people's disciplines, your virtues, other people's virtues, your defects, other people's defects, everything, right? You have to look at it with neutrality. Because one of the things that Brijmon Bai was sharing about Mama, I think, was that Mama had these amazing quality of determination, total determination. For me, these days the question is, how can I increase my determination? Right? Because if, let's say, I'm not doing something with discipline, right? If I beat myself up, is it going to work? Will I be more disciplined? If I feel guilty, if I feel, oh, you bad person, you didn't get up for morning meditation, how long are you going to sleep in? If I do all of those things, will I be able to do it? No. Because beating yourself up, being strict with yourself, feeling guilty about things, they don't do anything. I've tried it. doing from personal experience. I've tried it. They don't do anything. You have to learn how. You have to learn, how am I able to be disciplined? How? And all of them, right? From God, the Supreme Soul, to Dadi Kumarka, to Bridgemont, by everyone, all of them are talking about love. I have to be loving to myself. And then I can have determination. If I'm not loving with myself, I cannot have determination. You know, and then there is the other extreme, right? People say, oh, I'm so hard on myself. Whatever, right? I feel actually the other aspect is true more than hard on ourselves. I feel we are very lenient with ourselves and very hard on other people. We can be very lenient with ourselves. So don't go to two extremes. One extreme is beat yourself up for not doing something, and the other extreme is so lenient, like anything goes, right? Remember, mid-path. Always mid-path. Don't go to this extreme or this extreme, mid-path. And all of you know the Greek story of Odysseus, the Odyssey, right? The Odyssey was a very big story. Iliad and Odyssey in Greek mythology are like the Mahabharata and the Ramayana of India, right? They're very big. So in Odyssey, Odysseus is this Greek hero, and he's going on a journey. He's going back home, actually. The journey is he's going back home. And if you look at that story, right, with the spiritual eyes, you realize how much you can learn from that story. So he's going back home, and at one point he gets stuck somewhere, right? And there is a sorceress. He gets stuck and he gets involved with the sorceress, and she tells him, the sorceress name is Circe. So Circe tells him, you're going back home, and on the way back home, you will come to a point. It's like a boat journey, right? A ship journey. So you, your ship, your people, everyone are going on this journey. You will come to a point in the journey where you will, they're called straits. It's a strait, and you have to pass through the strait, and there are lots of sirens on the strait. And the sirens will sing songs. And the songs will be so beautiful, so lovely, that you will forget your journey and you will get stuck. And hundreds of these ship captains have got totally stuck, and their boats got crashed against the shore, and they all perished because the sirens are so powerful, right? The song is so powerful that you have to resist. It is a trap. You have to resist the song of the sirens, and you have to go past this, right? And so Odysseus thinks of something. He says, what can I do to not hear the song of the sirens? So what he does is, all the people on his ship, he plugs their ears with wax so they can't hear it. But for himself, he says, tie me to this mast of the ship, tie me to this mast. And how much ever I plead, do not untie me, because he knows that if he just plugged his ears with wax, he'll just take it off. But so he needed something more. So he needed someone to tie him. So his people in the ship, they tie him to the mast, and then they go, right? And then they go through the straits, and the sirens sing such beautiful songs, such enchanting songs, such alluring songs. And eventually they go past the straits, right? So because they didn't follow the path that other people did, which is listen to the sirens, go crash and go die, right? And so after he passes, then he realizes what happened. And I feel this story, right? It might sound like a Greek story somewhere or something, but it's actually about discipline. Because we, on our journey back home, so we are all on our journey back home. On our journey back home, Maya, you could say illusion, Maya, the five vices, whatever, they sing such beautiful songs, such alluring, enchanting songs. You don't even know they're singing, and you don't even know you're hearing it, and you don't even know you're falling for the song. And before you know, you go onto the shore and forget your journey home. But the mast and tying yourself to the mast is what we should do, because the mast and tying yourself to the mast is committing to a disciplined spiritual practice. Whatever may come, right? Whatever happens, right? Let's say if I'm committing to morning meditation, my 4 a.m. meditation, or anytime in the morning, and my class in the morning, my diet, diet and all of that, that it doesn't matter what happens. I commit, I tie myself to these disciplines, and I don't listen to the song of the sirens. Because Maya's siren songs can be very alluring. And so we have to be very firm, we have to be very strict, we have to be very disciplined about this, right? Because if we don't, we can get distracted. So at all costs, we have to avoid distractions, because before we know it, we have lost our path. We have forgotten everything, we're doing whatever we want, whenever we want, and it's done, right? And so what the story of Odysseus teaches us is this, how important it is to commit to a rigorous daily practice. Commit to a rigorous daily practice. We all have to do this, if we want any change in our life, if we want any kind of transformation in our life, we need to have a rigorous daily practice. Because if we don't have that kind of commitment, and then and remember, the commitment has to be non-negotiable. Not like, oh, today I feel okay, I'll do it. Tomorrow I don't feel okay, I won't do it. It has to be non-negotiable. So discipline and strictness, I feel that is the connection. There's a discipline, and I commit to this, and I don't break the commitment. That is strictness. If I break the commitment, then I'm not being strict. And if I break the commitment, so many things happen, right? So I have to be disciplined, and I have to make sure that happens. One of the things I feel, the siren songs, right? The songs of the sirens, is our own false ego. It's our own false ego that is singing to us. Because let's say if I am lazy, let's say, so what is Maya? Let's talk about Maya. So Maya, the sirens, right? This is the analogy of the Maya. Maya is spiritual illusion. But Maya as an illusion is what the five vices create in us as an illusion. So let's say I have, in case of discipline, let's say I have laziness. And because of laziness, I do morning meditation 2 days in a row. And the third day I tell myself, oh, I'm not feeling too well today. What's happening? Maya is talking to me, because my laziness is creating that illusion. My laziness is having an inner dialogue with the soul. And laziness wins, Maya wins. Because laziness has taken over. So that is Maya, right? Because the vices create an illusion and they prevent us seeing reality. And in modern world, in psychology, that is called moral licensing, actually. Moral licensing is, let's say you are on a diet, right? And you eat really healthy. And then one day 2 days you eat healthy, and the third day you totally binge on chocolate and ice cream and everything else, right? And you tell yourself, no, for 2 days I ate healthy, so the third day I can binge. So that is called moral licensing. You're self-licensing, right? You're telling yourself, oh, because I did something for 2 days today, I can be okay. And we do that all the time with our disciplines. Oh, 2 days we are fine, and the third day we give up. So if you want results, if you want success, then you cannot give up. You have to be strict. And that is the role of the sirens, or the role of Maya, like giving you these beautiful, alluring songs, like saying, yes, 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 it's so cold outside, it's so hot outside, whatever it is, right? Another very important aspect of discipline is to really look at yourself and ask yourself questions all the time. So let's say you want to get up in the morning. The night before, you have to have some questions ready, right? And I liked some of the things some of you were sharing about seeing the benefits, right? Okay, so 2 benefits of waking up in the morning, and 2 disadvantages of not waking up, 2 pros, 2 cons of not waking up tomorrow morning, right? And so the next morning, then you ask yourself the question, you're not getting up. Don't worry about not waking up, and don't worry about being hard on yourself. Don't worry about all of that. What you would need to do is you ask yourself, who am I? Who am I without this committed practice? Can I reach my destination without this committed practice? If I don't have this practice, then who am I? Right? That kind of exploration. So we have to go from being strict and we should do this to learn how to do it. We have to learn how to do these things. I promise you this will work, right? 2 benefits, 2 pros, 2 cons of getting up tomorrow morning, and keep asking your questions. As soon as you wake up, start asking yourself questions. Do I really want this? If I don't get this, what will happen? If I don't follow a discipline, what will happen? All of those things, right? So that is important, because one of the things about discipline is this inner stillness. When you have discipline and when you're very strict about the practice, right, you have stillness. There is such a stillness, such a soul silence. You experience such silence, right? Because and it's not just one-time thing. You consistently want to reach those depths. The depth of the silence, the depth of who you are, the depth of God, all of these things, you consistently want to reach it. If I do it one day, if I don't do it one day, if I get up one day, don't get up one day, don't do things one day, it's not going to work. And remember, I said, even in Odysseus, he was going back home. And also, we are all on our journey back home. And before I go back home, how do I want to go back home? Do I want to go back home with this laziness? Do I want to go back home with all these vices controlling me, or do I want to go back home as a self-sovereign? How do I want to go back home? We have a choice, because discipline is a choice. It's about choosing. And people think that sleeping in is not a choice. It's very easy, I just sleep in. No, it's not. You're actually choosing to sleep in. And trust me, choosing to get up can be as easy as choosing to sleep in. It can be as easy. We have to make it a choice in our head. You have to make it, oh, this choice, this choice. Which choice do I want? And then say, this is a choice I'm making. Do I really want to make this choice? No, I want to make this choice, right? So we have a choice. One thing for sure I feel about strictness or discipline or anything is we cannot do this without support from the Supreme. Discipline cannot happen without support. We have to have that love, that divine support, the guidance, the total pure altruistic love. If we experience that pure altruistic love, then it's very easy. So instead of saying, I should be disciplined, I should be strict, I think our focus should shift and say, no, I need to experience this love. When I experience this love, then whatever needs to happen will happen. But let me experience this love. So, you know, the word discipline, I always use the word blisscipline because I don't like the word discipline, right? I say blisscipline. The reason I say blisscipline is because I want to associate whatever I'm doing, right? Whatever commitments I made, my daily commitments, my rigorous daily practice, whatever, right? Whatever commitments I have made, because there's a lot of joy and freedom. There's a lot of joy and freedom in them. It is a enlightened freedom. It's not just a freedom like that, right? It's enlightened freedom. So there's a lot of joy and freedom with this. And I don't want to associate, I want to associate whatever I'm doing, my rigorous daily practice, with joy and freedom. So I call it blisscipline. I don't call it discipline. I say it's giving me bliss, it's giving me joy, it's giving me freedom. So we'll call it blisscipline. One of the things I want to reiterate more than anything else is this idea that before we have anything, right? Before we do anything, before we have anything, before we have all of those things, love comes first. Love comes before anything else. So actually, I am trying to see, you know, how can I give love to souls? How can I really show love to souls? How can I see myself as a soul? You know, there are many very, very good things in the Bhagavad Gita. But there is one thing that the Bhagavad Gita says, which is very fascinating. It says, when you see the truth, you experience the truth. When you see the truth, you experience the truth. So when you start seeing yourself a certain way, right? When you start seeing yourself as disciplined, when you start seeing yourself as loving, when you start seeing all of that, then you will start experiencing it. So you have to see yourself first. And more than anything else, we really need to have love. Love, love, love. And I liked what Manoj Bhai was sharing, love for the self, discipline, law for the self, and love for everyone else, right? Okay, sometimes we are called upon to be lawful. If we, children in certain situations, we are called upon to be lawful, but love, because if we don't give them love, then they'll never have the strength to follow what we are asking them to do. So love, love, love. Acha. All right. I wanted to leave some time for question and answers, and if you wanted to share anything yourself.
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much. Actually, you're invoking questions. So we've got a few questions in the chat box. I think this is a very, I'll just read it up. It's a full, it's quite a few things to be read. So it's like Sister Anu was mentioning that we need to have a lot of love and patience while dealing with children. So in a counter question to that is that I feel patience and love may be abundant sometimes, but if there's constant repetition, which means constant repetition is required with the child because of brain functioning limitations such as ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity. So it's a abnormal state of the brain. How can we stay centered as a parent where the patience turns into exhaustion and eventually some harshness does come out?
Don't be too hard on yourself. Kids are really, I shouldn't say this, but I watch a lot of kids these days. They're almost terrorists. Like they know how to manipulate you, right? They know how to manipulate you. It's a very different age, and the kids are very different right now than before. We could say, oh, my parents were so strict with me and I turned out fine. It was a different age. Now is a very different age. An answer to that question, I would just say, don't be hard on yourself and learn to parent yourself. Learn to take some me time, learn to center yourself. Don't put all of your hopes and desires in the child. Just learn to be your own person without being a mother, without being a father, without being a parent, right? Just learn to be yourself. Like connect with God as the supreme parent, take love, and then move on, because you have to remember this role as a mother or all of this is actually just very temporary. You're an eternal soul, and this is very temporary. So don't be hard on yourself.
Okay, yeah. So another question is, these are actually questions which I wanted to ask Brijman Bhai, but there were many, so we couldn't take so many. So obsession with I being right all the time has become a norm for many people. So how to handle such people, because such people usually are strict and such challenging situations.
Yeah. I was thinking about what someone was talking about difficult bosses earlier on. You have to remember something about strict people or difficult bosses, right? We always have a choice. In any situation, we have a choice. And the choice is whether we want to be here or not in their presence. And if you say, okay, I need to be in their presence, no choice, I have to be in their presence, then the other choice is, how am I responding to this person is also a choice. Mostly, if I am taking sorrow, right? If I am taking sorrow, or I'm reacting to their ego of being right, or whatever it is, right? It's because somehow there's a deep self-image, self-esteem, self-worth problem. And so I have to fix that. They are just coming to tell me it's there, right? Don't worry about them. Just remember the message. Don't look at the messenger. The message is some kind of self-worth issue is going on. And if you are able to stay in your self-respect under all circumstances, then nothing of this will happen.
Okay. So another question is, thank you. That it's a sister. She's saying, I'm an elementary school teacher, and I experienced that too much love made kids a bit undisciplined and disrespectful towards me. I do not like to be harsh, but then I thought I should be harsh, maybe. Can you suggest some advice here?
Okay, don't think of it as harshness. Think of it as firmness. You're being firm. Now, remember extremes. Don't go to extremes. One extreme is let them do whatever they want, they can do everything, and the other extreme is harshness. Now, you have to have discipline, and you have to be firm, and you have to be loving. Both. It cannot be either or. Life is never about either or. We have to balance both. Balance means that we're doing both equally well. And to be able to balance, right, the only way I've noticed to balance, because balance is a very difficult virtue, it's a very advanced virtue, balance. And so the only way we can balance any of these things is we have to commit to our own spiritual growth. When we commit to our own spiritual growth, when we really follow a discipline, and when we do the right things by ourselves first, right, then that balance is possible.
Okay, speaking of balance, how to strike a balance of humility, sweetness, and strictness as at the same time?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Again, like I said, balance is an advanced virtue. And, like every virtue, right? Every virtue, every value that all of us really think about. There are three categories of these values, right? There's the easy ones, beginner, beginner ones, and intermediate ones, and advanced ones. And just like, let's say, if I'm playing golf or tennis or cricket or whatever, right? Let's take golf, which I have absolutely no idea how to play the game, or I don't go see it, but let's just take golf. And so you have beginner golfers, you have intermediate golfers, you have advanced golfers. And beginner golfers, you do have to do certain things. Then if you want to be an intermediate golfer, you have to put in more and more time to become an intermediate golfer. You want to be an advanced golfer, you have to put in a lot of time, really make it professional, right? So balance is advanced, advanced virtues. It's like very advanced. And so to be able to have a balance of all of this, you have to put in a lot of time into yourself, a lot of time into your spiritual practice. And then that balance is possible.
So, like all our seniors in the organization, yeah, they are so much into spirituality, and they can strike a beautiful balance, all our seniors, right? Okay, there's
Yes,
a
because
comment.
they're very advanced. They're very advanced.
So there's a comment coming up that I think it's come to everyone. So I'll just read it out because everyone can see it also in the chat box. That treat your children as human beings. They have a right to their thoughts, although you may not agree with them. At least you heard them, and then explain them why you want them to do something in your way, and give them a reason, a result to it, not just being bossy. So again, like treating with kids. Yeah, so I think we'll just take one more last question. Any personal experiences? Okay, before that, there's another balance thing. I know it's advanced, but let's see whether you want to take it. How to make the balance between stickiness and easiness? Because what happens when you're easy with people, they stick on to you, and they can really take away a lot of your time. And how to detach then from such people who are becoming very sticky?
We have to deal with a lot of that at the center, right? So let's say someone is calling and they want a lot of time. They ask the same questions, or they're coming over. They ask the same questions. They want to do the same thing, and they don't want to change their life, but they want to get some blessings so that whatever, right? And so I always give a certain amount of time. I tell myself my love for Baba, for the Supreme, and for this soul is that because of my love for the Supreme and my love for this soul, I can put aside 15 minutes, 10 minutes. We can do that for anyone. And after that, I have to move on. I have to do other things. I have to move on. And so that's how I strike a balance. Like while there, that be very firm, very gentle, both firm and gentle, and stick to what you have to say, right? If someone says, oh, like recently someone was telling me, they called and said, people in India do this, people in Indian centers do this, why can't we do this in centers here? And so, and then the same question in different ways again and again and again, right? And so this just very firm but very gently saying, we all are on a different path. We're all different. We can't expect, one center somewhere else doing something, one center somewhere else doing the same thing, because even though we all have the same discipline, we all have the same common things, a lot of common things, some of it are different. And so you have to see personally what is going on with the soul, and you have to very gently bring that stickiness to their attention without it being too forceful. And I feel if you're connected with the Supreme Soul, you'll find that balance. You will know what to say, what to do. Because any situation, right? Ultimately, God has an answer much better than we could ever do. And so you will find it. So just connect, just be very quiet. You will know what to do.
I'll take this interesting question because I think it was last time someone had asked, but we didn't get a chance to pick it up. That how to be strict in spiritual disciplines that collide with another person's thought process. And into brackets, she's saying jealousy, for example, and he or she puts obstacles in my effort then. So how do we?
You repeat that? I had to plug my computer in because it was running out of juice and I didn't hear. Sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'll just repeat it. No worries. So if there is conflict of spiritual disciplines, so she's saying how to be strict in spiritual disciplines that collides with another person's disciplines, into bracket jealousy, for example, and then such person puts obstacles in my effort in my spiritual journey. So how to deal with such strictness where there's a conflict of spiritual disciplines?
Oh, I'm trying to understand it. So they are saying, a certain thing should be arranged this way, and you're saying, no, it should be arranged this way, but they're insisting it should be arranged this way because of jealousy for you. Is that what the question is?
I think probably, yeah.
The question is jealousy, no? Is that the question? How to address jealousy? With or without discipline, how do you address jealousy? I remember Dadi Janki one time telling me that jealousy is a form of laziness. That if we are lazy, we are jealous. And also jealousy is a form of, is a messenger, like different vices also are messenger vices, right? They come to give you a message. And a jealousy or noticing other people's jealousy is coming to give us a message that we need more humility. In any given situation, right? In any given situation, whether it's jealousy, whether someone is slapping you, whether they're insisting you do it this way and not this way, whatever, in any situation, right? Ultimately, what is going on inside the soul is more important than what is going on outside. So the outside circumstances, really, the only reason you have to remember, the only reason they're going on is to see the trigger that is happening inside the soul. And so if I'm upset that someone is jealous of me, what is the message? The message is not that that person is jealous. The message is that I have upset inside me, right? So let's say I have orange juice. Let's say I have an orange. I squeeze an orange. What comes out? Orange juice. Let's say I have a mango. I squeeze a mango. What comes out? Mango juice. If I squeeze someone who there's upset inside, what comes out? Upset comes out. So don't worry about the person squeezing. I think yesterday in our lesson, there were several times that we were told, be introverted, look at yourself, be introverted. That's what it means, is be introverted, is shift your focus away from all these people, everything, right? And go inside. And inside, see how everything that is happening externally is triggering. What is it triggering inside the soul? Because that is a much more powerful way of dealing with this, right? If I think, oh, that person is upset, that person is jealous, that person is this, I'm giving away my power. That is not a way to live. I need to reclaim power. I need to ask myself, what is it triggering in myself, and how can I fix what's being triggered? How can I reform? How can I transform what's being triggered in the soul? And, and also it's good to understand them also, right? It's good to understand that, possibly they do have jealousy. I'm not saying they don't. And it's not my business, really. That's their problem.
Yes, fantastic. So let's focus, let it get back onto the self. Yeah. Okay, good. So we are just running out of time now. So we have 5 more minutes left. I'll just quickly do a few announcements. And in the meantime, if anyone wants to be a part of our series and the workshops, we have just 3-4 months left. We'll be doing 100 and then closing. And then we'll see something else. Seniors will give us some more motivation to do what. So if there are new people who have joined, if you all can please share your email IDs and your WhatsApp numbers directly to everyone if you're comfortable, or maybe to Sister Anu and Sister Vidhi, so that we can incorporate you in a mailing list and send you all these review materials, all the PowerPoints and all the sharings which have been done by these senior Rajyogis in a material which will send to you in the next few weeks in an email format. Okay, a few quick announcements. So in the next 12 hours from now, we have the silence retreat on newness. Sorry, I'm at the East Coast time now. This time I'm in New York, and I have to fly tomorrow. So I won't be able to join, but the West Coast will be 8:30 a.m. and for India, it will be 8 to 10 p.m. Sunday morning. Yeah, sorry, it's Sunday 8:30 morning for India and Saturday 8 to 10 for West Coast. And this newness is from the last month. I mean, the June starting, we had started with this virtue. So we'll be finishing, as always, the month with a silence retreat. So silence retreat on newness. And then we have the next value. Again, we have speakers, senior Rajyogis from the USA again, next Saturday. It is 6th July and the episode is 94th on transparency, called in Hindi Pardarshita. So we have our senior speaker, Sister Wadi, who is the coordinator center for Florida, and Sister Jenna, who is for the Washington, D.C. area. Both of us have been with us in the past, and it will be good to have a conversation between both of them. Actually, even this was supposed to be a conversation between Sister Sukanya from San Francisco and Sister Shireen, but for some reason, Sister Sukanya couldn't join due to some other seva commitments, because I know people enjoy conversations more. And again, we are fortunate. Then let's move to Italy direct from USA for the next workshop. It is on transparency. We have both the sisters from Italy. So Sister Antonella, she's on the national coordinating team of Brahma Kumaris in Italy. and Sister Radha, who's the center coordinator at Rome in Italy. So we'll be having again a wonderful time with both of them on Saturday 13. And this is an elegant July calendar. We'll send it to you in the emails. We have much more speakers and much more values coming for you all. And please feel free to visit the playlist, which is there for both the series and the workshops as well. You can feel free to go on our YouTube channel as well, vihasa.in. And these are our email addresses of Vancouver and the Values for Life series, both, and the website of also Vancouver as well. So let me just stop sharing the screen, and I would now request Sister Anu to please propose the vote of thanks. Over to you. Thank you.
I think it's just a big wow. So much insight you took us actually deep inside, and many aspects we will all churn. I know we all got really deep insight. That's the word coming. But it is parenting yourself first, always, to be able to parent the other one, whoever, children, or to be in a right interaction with others. Also balance, as you said, is the very advanced virtue. But for that, you're bringing attention. That attention has to be on me for my spiritual growth, self-parenting, and taking Supreme Soul's parenting. Just focus on yourself. Also the story. Odysseus, yeah, tying myself to the mast. Yeah, somebody also mentioned that in the message in the chart. So yes, strictness for the self. We have really benefited highly. Thank you so much, Sister Shireen. And we will check, recheck, read, plan it for ourselves to really bring this spiritual discipline on ourselves. Thank you very much on behalf of everyone. Thank you so much.
Having me. Thank you for having me. It's
Group photo, please. Group photo, please.
Okay.
Strictness
So we'll
is
take a group
discipline with
photo.
commitment. Thank you.
Yes, tied to the commitment. We'll take a group photo, virtual photo that we'll share with everybody. And then at the end, also, Sister, you'll take us through a meditation experience. So everyone, whoever likes to be in the photo, please switch on your video. And yeah, some people still opening. So that's how I'm taking just a few more seconds. Anyone would like to be in the photo with Sister Shireen? Okay, I got it.
So before we close, we'll request for a closing meditation. It will be a commentary or drishti or whatever you are comfortable.
just the Rishi is good.
Okay.
I think commentary is good too. Whatever feels comfortable for you, I think will be okay for that. 5 minutes.
5 minutes?
Yeah, 5 to 7 minutes is good. I'm sure everybody's okay. A bit longer.
Let's take a deep breath. In and gently release that breath. Allow your body to go into a rhythm with your breathing in and out, gently and slowly. As you breathe in and out, let go of everything external and come into the awareness of being a spiritual being in this human body. Remember that as a spiritual being, you have everything. You have love, you have discipline, you have peace, you have everything. And in this awareness, you become aware of the Supreme Parent, the Supreme Soul. In the presence of the Supreme, you gently look within yourself and ask yourself the question, who would I be without my spiritual practice? Who am I? And what is my spiritual practice doing for me? Take a few moments and answer that question without judgment and resistance. See yourself as an eternal being of luminous light. Going through life with a committed practice. I am a soul, I'm weightless, I'm eternal, and discipline is my way of life. The Supreme Soul is here with me and is showering love and strength to the soul. Just take a few moments and absorb the shower of love and strength. Feel him, experience him talking to you, telling you, you can do this. You're a beautiful soul. And in my love, there is no labor. And you can do this. Just absorb this strength. Absorb this encouragement. In the presence of the Supreme, I have the strength to look inside and not focus outside. Take a moment now and see what is preventing me from doing what I need to do. Again, what is preventing me from doing what I need to do? Without judgment, without resistance, answer that question. See the illusions of Maya that are preventing you as a dark cloud. And take it to the Supreme and present that dark cloud to the Supreme. He's taking it away. And in its place, I'm being filled with divine luminous light. Just take a moment now to absorb the luminous light of the Supreme. And take a deep breath and come back to here and now. Om Shanti. I am peace.
Thank you so much once again for your words of wisdom and the beautiful experience. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sister Shireen, and everyone. See you again soon. Let's keep flying with this spiritual growth for the beautiful community.